Yes, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to Mark Friedman, the chairman spearheading the movement to bring a Major League Baseball franchise to Sacramento. Very exciting times for the people at the moment. If you could just give us an overview, I've just been reading your resume. It's very impressive indeed. How did you come to find yourself in this position to be potentially part of a wonderful piece of sporting history for the city?
Well, I've had an interest in sports since I was a little kid. And I had the pleasure of being part of the group that saved the Sacramento Kings when they were going to move to Seattle. And from that experience, I not only learned, how much fun sports is to watch, but what an interesting and good business it is. So when this opportunity came along, I jumped at it.
For the people who haven't been following this story, broadly speaking, and why do you think Sacramento deserves Major League Baseball?
Well, Sacramento has a long history as a baseball town. Some of the earliest games in the history of baseball were played right here. I know that seems counterintuitive, but when you think about the gold rush and, the people who came to California in the 1850s, they not only brought with, picks and shovels and panning devices, but baseball bats and gloves. But more recently, one of the things that really makes Sacramento a terrific home for a major league team is we've got a fantastic market. We're the largest market in the country that doesn't have a team. We're the biggest television market that doesn't have a team. And it's a city that loves sports and it's really thirsty for more opportunities.
Traditionally, we associate Sacramento with basketball. It's seen as a basketball city. But do you think, it sounds like you already think it has the identity to be a baseball city, right?
Yeah, it's actually interesting. One of the, when you think about when basketball is played, it's, in the fall and the winter. The Kings haven't made it into the spring for the playoffs lately. But it's cold and dark outside when games are over. Baseball is a beautiful summer sport. And Sacramento, no matter how hot it gets during the daytime, cools off in the evening. So it's, I can imagine, people coming to the games, leaving afterwards, strolling along the river where the stadium will be located, and just enjoying the view and being outside. It's a perfect environment for baseball.
What's the strongest argument that you've been making to MLB decision makers?
Well, I think that we have all of the pieces that are necessary for a successful franchise. We've got the market, which I just talked about. We have a spectacular site that is immediately opposite the downtown. It's adjacent to the river and it's got beautiful views, kind of like PNC Park in Pittsburgh. But what's more important than that is it's already zoned and entitled and ready to go. We're literally playing baseball there right now and simply have to build a better venue. I think the third thing that makes our case strong is we've got a significant public investment in the project. These are incredibly expensive facilities to build. And, most ownership groups, most jurisdictions can't pull these off without a significant public investment. And the city of West Sacramento has stepped up in a big way. And then the last piece that you need to be successful is an ownership group. And I think we've raised, something on the order of half the equity that we need, from local investors. What we're looking for is that lead investor to join us and take us over the top.
What do you think makes this such an attractive investment?
A couple of things. One is because Sacramento is such an underserved market, and because we have such a loyal fan base, I think that anybody looking at this opportunity can, clearly imagine that people will buy tickets, that sponsorships will be there. All you have to do is look at our existing sports teams. The Kings, who have not had as much success on the court as I would like, have had 16 consecutive years of sellouts. The River Cats, which is the minor league baseball team in Sacramento, in its 20 years of existence has led the league in attendance more than 10 times. And the USL team, the Sacramento Republic, has led the USL in attendance 7 years in a row. So, we've got a community that, shows up for sports.
Wow. Have the River Cats been significant in your pitch to people?
Yes, I think that the success that they have, certainly validates people's interest in baseball locally. But it goes much deeper than that. Our junior college, Sac City College, I believe, was most recently the junior college champion. We've got numerous Major League Baseball players. Aaron Judge, who was just in town this last week, is from Linden, which is about 40 minutes south of Sacramento. Got a long history of people playing baseball in this community.
Yeah. Sorry if this is a silly question, but do we have a name?
No, not yet. Any ideas?
Yeah. Well, guys, comment if you have any ideas. I think it's an exciting one. That's a huge identity thing, right? So yeah, I was just wondering if I hadn't seen it yet. Okay, cool.
No, we're not there yet.
Yeah, I mean, if they announce the franchise tomorrow, how ready will Sacramento be?
Well, we still need that lead investor. And, I think that puts us in a position with many other jurisdictions. But my belief is that we've got the table completely set. We're just looking for the guest of honor, so to speak. And, when they see how this is set up for success, I think we'll have a lot of success in attracting that lead investor.
Just how special would this be? How significant in the history of Sacramento would this be to get this over the line?
It'd be incredibly important. Sacramento is a wonderful community. It's a growing community, but it is often overlooked and underappreciated. We've got 2.7 million people in our metropolitan area. As I said, we're the 20th largest television market in the country. And yet we don't have the kind of recognition that a city of this size typically deserves. I think there's nothing like sport, with the name of your city, across the front of a jersey to, project identity to the rest of the world and, to build local pride. It'd be a really big deal for Sacramento.
Do you see Sacramento as the underdog or the front runner in this race? How significant is the competition?
I think the competition is very significant. I mean, there are a number of, wonderful cities, good ownership groups, some very solid offerings. I'm used to Sacramento being an underdog, and I think we compete, very effectively from that position.
For you, how important is it that the A's are their presence in kind of strengthening your case for a franchise?
Well, we have an opportunity that none of the other cities competing for a major league expansion team have, which is we've got MLB being played right here, right now. And so, the experience that the A's have is not going to decide the question, but it certainly goes a long way to demonstrating to, the owners that this is a viable market that'll support a major league team.
Have you guys managed to pick up any lessons or learnings from having them there?
That it's really important to have Sacramento on the jersey. Last year that wasn't there, and people in this community are proud. And as soon as they put Sacramento on the jersey, the game started selling out. I think the jerseys sold out. The moment they were put on the market. People want to represent here.
So I guess that reinforces when it comes to the name, the logo, the colors, the look and feel, that's going to be significant, right? How are you going to build the identity of this franchise?
Yeah. Well, I think that, the first thing we'll do is we'll look to, Sacramento's baseball history. Sacramento had a very successful Pacific Coast League team, the Solons, which I think won the championship in 1942. And we'll look back to that history, that identity. I don't think that name works. Nobody knows what a Solon is. but there'll be a lot of cues in terms of how that team presented itself that we can lean into. But I think that one of the aspirations we have is to tell the rest of the world, the rest of the country about what Sacramento has to offer. And so I think a lot of our branding will attempt to lean into that. Haven't figured it out yet, but that's the aspiration.
Yeah. Sports franchise are commonly viewed as premium assets. You could say it's almost a golden generation for sports owners, right? Do you feel that way?
Well, it's certainly a golden generation for sports. And the values of franchises have been accelerating dramatically. But I think it's a golden generation for the players too. It's everybody is profiting from the kind of intense fan interest that not only happens in our country, but that is beginning to happen globally.
What do you think separates cities that successfully land major league franchises and ones that don't?
That they have everything buttoned down. As I said, I think there are four things that we're working on. The market, the site, the city subsidy, and the ownership group. We know that we've got some work to do on the ownership group, but we have a plan. And I think at the end of the day, the owners are going to look carefully to make sure that everything that each city presents is solid, and that's what we hope to be, rock solid.
Across American sports, who do you see as the gold standard in terms of ownership?
Well, I've been watching the NBA playoffs, and I have to say that the San Antonio Spurs are really just a model of successful sports ownership. It's a smaller market like Sacramento, and yet that is a team that has won 5 championships in the last 20 years, and done it with three completely different teams in different ways. They've got an ownership group that I think most sports fans would be hard pressed to name. The team it's front and center, and the people who really understand the sport are in charge. And I think that that's what we would aspire to have here. An ownership group that can successfully build a winner time after time, where the franchise is run by people who understand the nuances of the sport.
What have the naysayers been saying, and what do you say to them?
Well, they're saying you're not big enough, you're not strong enough, you're not good enough. And I don't want to sound like Stuart Smalley, but we are. And darn it, people like us too. No, it's, there were a lot of naysayers when we took on Seattle. The Kings had literally signed an agreement to move. And we were competing against an extraordinary city, filled with Fortune 500 companies. And one of the richest guys in the world, Steve Ballmer. And like the little engine that could, we did, we came through. And if we all, keep moving in the same direction, I think we've got a really strong chance of winning here.
And on the other side of the coin, there must be people out there who have given their life to see a project like this come to fruition. Like how much of a dream could this be for people who bleed baseball in Sacramento?
It was really gratifying at the announcement the other day to see Dusty Baker and Derek Lee stand up on the stage. Everybody knows about, their baseball credentials. But the first thing that Dusty opened with was, I love this community. I love this town. Sacramento deserves a baseball team. And, to see that, kind of passion and emotion, I think it really moved everybody in the crowd. The other thing that was really gratifying about that is we had nearly 100 fans. Sort of, it was a grassroots effort called RBI, as in River Cities Baseball, who came out on their own, self-organized. And at the end of the press conference, they just broke into a Sacramento chant. That's one of the things that I think is so special about sports, is the way it rallies people around a community identity and a common cause.
So fast forward the clock, 10, 20 years, what do you want people to say about Sacramento baseball?
I'd love them to be celebrating multiple championships. I love, to see the vision that I started with, at the beginning of this conversation, people walking to the ball game, on a balmy summer night, just sitting, enjoying each other, and just enjoying hearing the crack of the bat.
Have you gotten the love and support of the people on the ground, do you think, the everyday folks over there?
Yeah, people are very excited about this. They're very aligned in moving forward to win. And, I'm confident that if we, keep moving in the same direction, that we've got a really strong shot.
Could be a special time in history. What a beautiful project. It's been fantastic speaking to you. All the very best.
Well, thank you. Really appreciate the opportunity.